His Zambian counterpart, President Hakainde Hichilema, held official talks this morning in Zambia as a part of the itinerary of the President Masisi's two-day working visit in Zambia. When speaking during the official talks, the President Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi reiterated the commitment of both countries to bringing about impactful prosperity to their economies. He also urged his Zambian counterpart, President Hichilema, to complete an audit of their national ID features to optimize commerce as well as ease of movement of people. The Zambian President, Hakainde Hichilema, also reiterated that the signing of agreements between the two countries should not be just a formality, but should be implemented for a betterment of the people and the economies. Botswana and Zambia have set targets to have concluded all necessary requirements to a number of sectoral areas of collaboration.
We, Your Excellency, not only agreed on a number of sectoral areas in which to collaborate, we put a timeline. And the reason for this applause, because this timeline has been met, very proudly so. But the next step is to make sure that we actualize and bring to life the contents of what is in those memoranda and expand and grow the potential therein. And I want to encourage both teams, Your Excellency, to be as creative, as imaginative, and as bold as possible. We're going to begin by harnessing on our comparative advantages, those low-hanging fruits that we have. And clearly, in the tourism space, the fact that we're neighbors, the fact that we love each other, we agree, the fact that we are members of a number of multilateral institutions together, and least of which would be our membership to SADC, the fact that we have commodities and services that we like, that each has a competitive advantage in, should make this seamless. And we want to urge that you complete your audit of your national ID and the making comparable those features so that our people can travel and our goods will follow them much easier.
It's an asset so valuable to us, not just Botswana and Zambia, but to the region and the rest of Africa, and invariably, indirectly, the global community. We covered areas: agriculture, livestock, mining, just to mention a few, and agreed that we'll meet here in Livingstone today out of the Kasane visit. And once we sign things we're going to sign today, they are not for paper and filing cabinets. They are for active utilization, implementation, which will help us deepen our cooperation. People to people, yes. Business to business, yes. Economy to economy, country to country. And invariably improve the lives of our citizens in Botswana, our citizens in Zambia. That's the story. I think it's a nice story. And we're very delighted, President Masisi, to have you and your team here.
Now, the acting President Reslam Batsogwane launched SkyMax Drone Assembly and Testing Center this morning at the Botswana International University of Science and Technology. This development comes at a critical time when the country is intensifying digital transformation efforts. Drone technology is crucial for productivity and efficiency in various sectors, including agriculture, disaster relief, law enforcement, and medicine.
The center will provide a continuous knowledge-based workforce development and a reliable talent pipeline which will produce fit-for-purpose graduates into the market. It is a standing principle to expect that universities must produce graduates that possess the right skills, the right knowledge, and the required experience for them to succeed and contribute meaningfully in the realms of both the job market and entrepreneurship. As a predominantly agricultural society, albeit at subsistence scale. The advent of drone technology has proven to be such an important innovation which will transform the way we have been conducting our business.
Now, some members of the public have raised concerns about insurance companies that deduct monthly premiums from customers but later fail to abide by their contracts to provide insurance policy claims and payouts. Ungutile Tamar.
This message is received by many funeral policy holders following payment of their monthly premiums. Despite making payments as agreed, some of the companies they have engaged to provide insurance services do not meet the end of the bargain. Some of these individuals have fallen victim to paying high premiums to certain insurance companies with the hope of cashing out from their policies during difficult times, but have to go through difficult moments. They have been paying through their teeth to cushion empty-handed.
Batswana ba jiwa nsoma. Most of that Motswana ga se motho yo balang. Policy e na le fine print go morago go kwaleng dio tse dintsi. Ba nna ke tabe ke itumelela gore ke secure le malome ke secure le nkuku le nna ke le moteng. Then o bosa khone go bona dilo dingwe mo contracteng tse le gore di kwadile.
For instance, jaaka ke tswa mo family of 6 yana. Ha re ka insure motsadi rote ba didimala ba tsa madi motsadi ha tlhokagala hela ke gone le tautwane dikgang gore ha le ke la claim lote mme nna le ntse le ntsha madi lote.
The Non-Bank Financial Institutions Regulatory Authority, NBFIRA, which is tasked with regulating insurance companies as well as issuing operating license to insurance companies, is well aware of complaints raised by defrauded policyholders.
The regulator, NBFIRA, does receive complaints from members of the public, specifically about funeral policy, funeral insurance policies. The regulator has received approximately 100 complaints pertaining to the insurance industry as a whole, but only about 10% of these were specifically about funeral insurance policies and claims thereof. The common reasons given for the complaints pertaining to this normally relate to the non-payment or underpayment of insurance premiums. Another reason, one of the underlying reasons for the complaints is where a policyholder would request to be reimbursed for the premiums that they have paid. Another common underlying reason that we come across is where a claim has been submitted to the insurer, but the waiting period has not yet lapsed.
The lingering question is, what is NBFIRA doing to protect the rights of consumers?
What our procedures say is that a consumer has the right to escalate a complaint matter to NBFIRA. However, this process requires that the policyholder in this instance write to the entity, the insurer, service provider, or broker, whoever it was, and write to them to inform them of their complaint. If the policyholder does not get a satisfactory response or no response at all from the insurer, then they are well entitled to now escalate the matter to NBFIRA. The complainant is in the wrong. They may have misunderstood the terms or conditions of their contracts. In some instances, the insurer is in the wrong. But whichever way, we will make our judgment based on the criteria that I've just described. If after assessing a complaint matter, we ascertain that the insurer indeed was wrong, we have a number of tools available to us as a regulator, issuing a warning to depending on the gravity, firstly on the nature of the transgression, the gravity of it, and a number of factors. But the tools range from issuing a warning to imposing penalties to even revoking the license of the said company if need be.
Efforts by Botswana Television to hear the side of the insurance companies proved futile as they requested a questionnaire which they in turn ignored until the time of publishing the story. Ungutile Tamare, BTV News, Gaborone.
Now, Smart Switch has donated blankets and pillows worth over 140,000 pula to the Okavango District Council in Gumare. The donations will be handed over to 194 orphans in boarding schools. Speaking at the handover ceremony, the company's managing director, Franz Mabiletsa, said they are servicing over 122 villages in Botswana. Tumisanki Lahlilwe.
The gesture of donating to the needy demonstrates love and care amongst Batswana to each other. Therefore, Smart Switch opted to extend a helping hand to students, especially the less privileged, in order to uplift and encourage them to concentrate on their studies without being disturbed by their family background.
The proposal here, this council, was the one that we felt resonated well with us. A very clopayone. Mikana, Hotlopahone Mona, Hasiruna, Renusi, Reles and Hodirajal. Hormendele no way let's hold banala cabone, by Lorba, Clocomela ban, Ba Hole, by Clocomela Gamos. Molemung Mola Hating, Lahais Hormende, Du Cosi, Ma Cancelara, whether Jaba Party, if Boke, Banalitikel Zahore, but to buy Lorba Digo Tassi, but Chulidi.
Okavango is one of the districts that is remote and has many people living in poverty, and therefore this benevolence is highly appreciated as it will go a long way in making a difference for those receiving the gifts.
Ke tsela gore le setse la abetse di council tse dingwe mme le lemogile gore Okavango le ene ka kwano ko tenyana teng re teng bana ba rona le bone ke ba teng ke bana ba bothale thata ba ba tlhokang go rotwetswa ke tsela gore ga ba le hajana
As you may know, in our district, our pass rate is very low, and some of those factors is not due to a child's capability, but to how their system is at home and their daily living. We need certain things to be able to survive. We need certain things to be able to function properly as children. And I would like to thank again Smart Switch for Switch to be smart for being able to take on a parent-like role for our children and being able to be the parent that our children deserve.
The donation will give these students dignity, and they'll be able to focus on their studies at school and aim for better grades to improve their livelihoods in future. Dumisang Kelatilwe, BTV News, Gumare.
You're watching BTV News, and thank you for staying with us. Now, Pandamatenga village in the Chobe district has been for years a high-scale farming production area, as the area has rich soils which are suitable for a variety of crops. However, this year farmers are worried due to low rainfall, but are still hopeful that they could salvage something from their fields if the rains were to come.
Historically, Pandamatenga has been a center of excellence for grain and legume production, as it has the potential to feed the nation. However, this year farmers say they anticipate a low harvest, as the rains have been inadequate. Farmers say all hope is not lost, and that they are still hopeful that if they can receive good rainfall, they could still produce a better yield.
Last year in 2023, we had a very severe drought as well. What happened was at the end of 2023, we were warned by government that next year will be an El Nino year. So we did all the efforts to preserve whatever moisture we had left in the soil and try by all means do good farming practices to preserve the moisture. Unfortunately, this year, up to date, some farms have received only 180 millimeters of rain. I think that is probably the worst on record in over 40 years. So right now we are struggling. We're using drought resilient crops such as red sweet sorghum. We procure our seed from Australia. It's the best seed available in the whole world. Unfortunately, it just cannot cope with the current conditions.
However, at Hills Agrochemicals Farm, who ventured into cash crops such as coffee and horticulture through irrigation, revealed that the fertile soils are ideal for their crops, as they have already started harvesting and even selling to local enterprises.
2015. Go tla jaana ntse tla ile ka mehuta e harloganeng ya dijalo re ke ra lema yalo bo ditapole ra lema ditamati ra lema le coffee mo nakong ya gompieko re lema lone moretlo o eleng gore o mo selekanyeng sa 1 hectare o bidwang go Red Globe re be re wa re nna le variety e bidwang go Crimson e leng gore ne mo 1.3 hectares bophara jwa farm e hala jone re ka re jalo ke 5 hectares are lenteng me re na le dikarolo tse dingwe tse na le bo 8 hectares le 17 hectares.
It is government's vision to industrialize Pandamatenga and turn it into an agropolis, and that is why companies such as Panda Oil, a sunflower pressing plant, are already making significant strides towards realizing that vision.
Sunflower ya lemiwa ke difamara ye nngwe ne re lema totarele company ye nngwe ne re reka ko bo bambo ye nngwe re reka mo difamare tse dingwe sa Pandamatenga re tisa kwano ko madirelo a rona re to go dira mahuri.
Government recognizes and supports the efforts of Pandamatenga farmers through projects such as the Chobe Zambezi Water Transfer Project, which seeks to draw water from the Chobe River for irrigation purposes, as rains have become unpredictable in recent years due to climate change. BTV News, Pandamatenga.
Now, Botswana Communications Regulatory Authority and the Lesotho Communications Authority have started a war against cyber threats through a memorandum of understanding. This MOU will strengthen cybersecurity and formalize the relationship between the two organizations. Speaking at the ceremony, the Chief Executive Officer for BOCRA, Martin Mokhware, said that the two joined forces and resources to improve the ability to detect and fight cyber crimes. Terry Mahoy.
In this digital era, cybersecurity has become a prevalent issue as many have already fallen victim to cybercrime. As such, since the issues transcend borders, the two organizations of BOCRA and Lesotho's LCA have joined forces to strengthen cybersecurity and mitigate cyber threats.
The Memorandum of Understanding signifies our shared commitment to strengthen our cyber security postures. We can all agree that in the digital era that we live in, cybersecurity issues will dominate the public discourse and constitute a major part of our highlights, a major part of our regulatory mandate. It highlights the evolving nature of cyber threats we face and underscores the need for collaborative action.
This memorandum of understanding entails, amongst others, information sharing and capacity building.
Allow me to highlight some key components encapsulated within this MOU. Number one, it's about information sharing. Our CSET agreed to establish channels and protocols for timely exchange of information related to cyber threats, vulnerabilities, and incidents. This will enhance our situational awareness and collaboration in detecting, analyzing, and mitigating cyber threats between the two countries. This broader collaboration will help optimize spectrum resources, thereby promoting transparency in billing and fostering regulatory coherence.
Formalizing this relationship comes after the two organizations realized that they have some common problems, with Botswana being more advanced in solution provision.
Through those interregulatory games that we started sharing information. And when we realized the challenges that Lesotho was facing on cyber-related matters, the first country that came to mind was what is happening in Botswana. And we communicated with BOCRA, and we found that they are way ahead of us, and they have the skills and the will to assist us to also embark on this journey.
This memorandum of understanding solidifies the long-standing relationship between the two organizations and gives both organizations the confidence that more can be done to mitigate issues of cyber threats. Terry Makoeng, BTV News, Gaborone.
And that's how we end this bulletin. Thank you for watching. Liza King is standing by to give you sports.
Thank you so much, Kaelo. Good afternoon. I am Liza Oseking with your World of Sport. And in our first story, Minister of Youth, Gender, Sport and Culture, Mr. Tumiso Rakhare, has applauded the team that represented Botswana at the just-ended African Games held in Accra, Ghana, for a good performance. When welcoming the team back yesterday, Rakhare said it is a step in the right direction as the country prepares for the Paris Olympics slated for this year between July and August. Ryan Khengonyane has the report.
Minister Rakhare said the team's dedication in this year's edition indicate that with the right support from Botswana, the team, which is made up of more youthful players, can make the country even prouder at the upcoming international events.
On behalf of the government of Botswana, the leadership of sport in Botswana, all our invaluable stakeholders, and indeed, on my own behalf, let me express our greatest delight, honor, and privilege in welcoming Team Botswana back home following a memorable performance at the 13th African Games. At this juncture, to highly commend each and every member of Team Botswana for having taken these games very seriously, for it sure reflected in Team Botswana's performance. A round of applause for our team.
When delivering his report of the mission in Accra, Ghana, Chef de Mission Shadrack Kapeko expressed his confidence in the team, especially the good performance delivered in the codes that the country was competing in for the first time.
The games were used as preparations to qualify more teams to Paris 2024 games and even beyond. We have achieved this through our relay teams and beach volleyball, who still stands a chance to qualify for Paris 2024. The games were indeed a good preparation to them before the last leg of their qualifying games. Beach volleyball will be going on their qualifying competitions. Therefore, these were indeed a good preparation for them at the games.
I'm proud of those that won and those that lost proudly, because we went from broken arms to one-eyed men, from knockdowns to knockouts. We've seen it all, and none of us quit. That is the most important thing. It takes a brave person to finish a match. Well, they say that a bull is seen by its scars, so.
This year, Team Botswana finished on position 32 with a total of 13 medals, 3 silvers and 10 bronze, which is more of a decline from the previous edition, where they finished 17th with 14 medals, which were made up of 5 gold, 3 silver and 6 bronze. One positive factor is that the team officials and the national sport governing body have a good foundation from these games to build a strong and competitive team ahead of the Paris 2024 Olympics. Ryan Kangwanyani, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
In other news, Gaborone City Deputy Mayor Uduetse Tautona has commended the organizers of African Stars International Athletics Championships for their efforts to cultivate track and field athletes from a younger age in order to produce well-rounded athletes. Tautona said this during day 2 of the week-long athletics competition held at the National Stadium. Pomoto Sefako.
Tautona said the track and field event will help in ensuring and developing sport excellence from a young age to tap into the abundant athletics talent that the country have, which he said have been for years frustrated by the lack of school sport.
I think this is the right direction. Tapping talent from young people is very important. I'm too emotional because this thing has been stopped for some time. And I think there was an issue between the government and the teachers. But if the decision has been taken, so you see what is happening now with sports. I mean, the entire codes, the sports codes. Nowadays, sports is business. This need to be made commercial. If you are grabbing them from young age, you will see a lot of talent. And I believe that Botswana, it's going to be one of the countries that we will see, and we'll make it a hub, especially when we come to athletics.
Botswana Athletics National Team coach Justice Dipeba said the championship was a good initiative as it resonated well with the association's objectives of developing sports from grassroots level.
They will help us to identify talent. As you have
maybe aware for the past 4 years, if I'm not wrong, school sports. So we were not able to touch or to have contact with kids in terms of sports. So events like this, if we get to have them, they will help us to come and identify talents. Will also help the kids. I mean, at this age, yes, we talk. It's not a competition level. It's a time for them to discover themselves. It's for them to learn what to do, how to do things, and what to do in terms of their events. They will learn can I run, can I throw, can I jump, and that is the whole idea behind this event. We were able to advise them because we've got kids as young as 6 years old. As you can see now, running the 4x50 relays. They did the 60 meters yesterday. So we are trying to make sure that the events that are being done are appropriate for the ages that are here. And we had the 8 and 9 years old running 80 meters yesterday. So that is something that we make sure that they do the proper stuff.
According to the coordinator and chairperson of the event, Havenda Daliwali, plans are on the way to make the event, which is in its first year, an annual event and expand it to other parts of the country. The championship will run until Saturday, where the athletes from different schools in and around Gaborone will compete in different categories. Khomzo Safago, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
And finally, Botswana Cricket Association is currently conducting an under-19 national team camp to select players who will go for another camp in May as they prepare for the ICC Division 2 qualifiers to be held in September this year. Ryan Khonganyani.
The team, which is made up of 40 players from around the country, is in a 4-day camp aimed at assessing players' performances. The assessment is done by coaches from one of the world's cricket powerhouses, India. One of the coaches, Rajesh Kamath, said their intention is to leave behind noticeable improvements and raise standards that will enable Botswana cricket to compete in the big leagues.
It will take a bit time, but I'm very impressed with the enthusiasm of the boys. We had before this, we coached the men's team, we coached the under-19 girls, we coached the women's team, and this is the fourth group we are having now. And there is a lot of enthusiasm among the kids, and I mean, it can always go up from here. So we are hopeful that as the days go on, as the years go on, Botswana will be a power to reckon with in the game.
The national team's cricket coach, Stanley Timoni, said all that will be left for them is to continue implementing what they have learned from the Indian coaches.
With what they've been giving us and what they've been teaching out to our players in terms of information, knowledge, it's great. All we need to do is to stay behind and continue with what they've been teaching the kids. And I can assure you that if we are to stay focused as a country, we will achieve our goals and we will make sure that our flag goes high.
He concluded by applauding the parents for their unwavering support for their children.
To be honest, I would want to salute the parents. You know, talking of both parents from the girl child and the boys. As you can see, we've got about 16 guys from Francistown, 2 from Pique, and they're going to be here for 4 days. And the parents are meeting all the expenses, so it means we have got serious support from the parents, and we salute them for that.
The under-19 boys national team is expected to get back on camp in May this year after being trimmed to 30 as they continue with their preparations for the ICC Division 2 qualifiers. Ryan Khemuyani, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
And that is it for sport this hour. I'll be back at 5, but stay tuned because In Context continues with Kaelo Sabone.
I'm delighted to host this important gathering aimed at enhancing our collective efforts to prevent the use of biological weapons and promote biosafety and biosecurity on the African continent. Biological Weapons Convention represents a cornerstone of the global disarmament and non-proliferation regime reaffirming our commitment to peaceful use of biological sciences and technologies. Botswana is committed to global peace and security. We understand that security is as strong as the weakest link. Therefore, being part of the global security regime, we are obliged and committed to international security standards. We have shown this commitment by ratifying and domesticating, implementing treaties on peace and security. Botswana ratified the Biological Weapons Convention in 1992 and has domesticated the treaty by passing the national law in 2018. It is an honor for us as Botswana to host 9 SADC countries, international organizations, non-governmental organizations, the United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs, UNODA, team and their partners for this workshop. Africa, like other regions around the world, faces unique challenges from capacity constraints to resource limitations in implementation and enforcing the provisions of the Biological Weapons Convention. This calls for working together to address these obstacles. This workshop provides a broad understanding of the Biological Weapons Convention and related implementation requirements, including on national implementing legislation, confidence-building measures, as well as roles and responsibilities of national contact points. Through open and constructive dialogue, we can identify common priorities, foster collaborations, and build the necessary expertise